Question number 1. Explain the basic concepts of social work interviewing. I think that the basic concepts of social work interviewing is to get to the bottom of the problem or the root. During an interview, it is very important to connect with your client and make them feel comfortable enough to open up to you. This is very important because by them opening up to you, it helps you figure out what's going on, whether it's a deep-seated problem from their past, which I believe is usually the case, or something recent that's happened in your life, whether minor or traumatic. Question number 2. What helping processes are involved in the stages of social work practice? The helping process consists of counseling, advocating, and footwork. And these are my words. I feel as though counseling is number 1 because, as I said about interviewing, getting to the root of the problem is number 1 for the social worker so that there can be change. Without knowing what the problem is or what the problem is stemmed from, you won't know how to change the behavior. Once the problem has been figured out, or you have some idea what's going on with that person, that's when advocating and footwork come into play. I feel as though these two concepts work hand in hand. Advocating consists of if this person is involved in, let's say they're involved in the courts, and you as a social worker or counselor or parole officer can advocate for them in court. You could be testifying on their behalf from a professional standpoint, which in the long run can help them. Using your name or your business to help them get resources, like if this person needs utility help or shelter or food, or let's say they need to be referred to someone who has more expertise than you do in their situation. Using your name or your business can help them get those resources easier. Footwork goes hand in hand with advocating, like I said, and this could be on the responsibility of you or your client. For example, let's say that you're doing your job as their advocate by trying to get them some type of resource, but you need certain information that you don't have and you need them to go get it. If this is what they really want, then they're going to go get it and they're going to bring it back to you so they can get help. Or like in my last mock interview, I had a client who had her kids taken from her because her drugs interfered with her parenting. And her footwork would be to complete her goals, our goals, which number 1 was to go to rehab and stay off of drugs. That'll be her footwork. Go to rehab, stay in rehab, and then when she comes home, stay off of drugs. Question number 3. Define the roles of social workers and human services workers in modern society. There are different roles that social workers or human service workers can play in today's society. From school counselors to CYF social workers to parole officers or whatever. The clinician may be in charge of just being a shoulder to cry on, or the person who helps someone get their kids back, or the one that helps a family stay together. Like I mentioned before in the last 2 questions, that the overall goal as a social worker or a human service worker, counselor, whatever, is to get to the root of the problem and help solve it and help change behavior in that person or help that person change. Number 4, how would an effective social worker develop a plan to assist individuals with enhancing day-to-day social functioning? Okay, for this question, I'm going to use a scenario. The person that I'm talking about, I actually know him personally, but I'm going to use a fake name. We're going to call him John. John is 35 years old, and he spent 6 years in jail, and along with his conditions of parole, he had to do 3 years of house arrest. So he did about 9 or 10 years total off the streets. Though he was on house arrest, on house arrest you're only allowed to go to work or school or whatever. So John is very paranoid. Like, there's been times I've been at his house, and he lives in an apartment, so he'll hear noises or people, and he'll think somebody's trying to break into his house or come through his door, just acting crazy. And along with him, being off the streets for so many years, in the last, I think 5 or 6 years, he's lost his mom and his older sister, 2 people he was very close with. I personally feel as though he has developed some type of mental problem, and now he might need meds. I'm not really sure how he was before he went to jail, because I didn't know him then. But I do think that his time off of the streets, along with his loss, has led to his paranoia. If he was my client, I would start by asking questions in relation to how he feels about people. Like, what do you feel when there's a lot of people around you? Or asking him questions about how his past relationships are and things like that. Then I would give him homework. His homework would be to try to socialize with people by getting a job or going to school, because that way he'll be around people who have similar interests and he'll be in a positive atmosphere. I will also definitely refer him to some type of psychiatrist or something like that, just to make sure that he hasn't developed any type of mental illnesses. I feel as though if he follows through with, getting in those positive atmospheres and going to go get checked out, that he should be good. And if there is some type of mental illness and he gets meds, that those meds will keep his paranoia and anxiety in check. Question 5. How do social workers demonstrate effective listening and communication skills during a clinical interview? Asking questions and showing empathy is number 1, and number 2. Asking questions is definitely effective because it makes the client think about things, and it helps you better understand a situation from physical and verbal responses. Even if the person doesn't respond to your question with words, you could tell the response by their facial expressions or how their auras changed. Showing empathy is good because it shows that you are actually listening and shows the client that you're trying to relate with them on some type of level. Silence can also be an effective listening tool because it gives a chance for things to soak in and for the client to elaborate on whatever you guys were talking about. Question number 6, the final question. How do social workers express empathy within a clinical interview? Supportive sounds is a way to express empathy by responding with sounds instead of words like "oh" or "mm-hmm" or "okay" or "I see," so on and so forth. Sometimes not saying anything can have just as much an effect on a situation than words, because it still shows the client that you're listening to what they're saying. Empathetic echoing is also another way to express empathy. For example, reflection of content. This is basically repeating back what the client said in question form or in your own words, just to get a better understanding for yourself and showing them that you're actually listening. For example, if I have a client and she comes in and she's, talking about her boyfriend, and she tells me, I just hate when he stays out late at night and he doesn't even call me or text me or anything to let me know what's going on. Then my, echo would be to her. So you would prefer him to let you know when he's going to stay out late? And she would say, yeah. And then my next question would be, well, why? You know what I mean? And then from there, we'll go on to the real reason why she don't like him staying out late, whether it's because she's jealous or she's worried or whatever the case may be. Mirroring your expressions and posture. Mirroring your expressions is something like reflection of content, but on a physical level. You want to match your expressions and your posture with theirs. If they're talking about something that makes them happy, to have a smile on your face makes a difference. Also, and vice versa if they're sad or depressed. So if a person's coming in and they're talking about how they're graduating next week with high honors and they're happy and excited, you want to be happy and excited too. Like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Y'all knew you could do it. Or if they come in and they're like, yeah, my dad just got, pronounced to have cancer. Your face will change. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. So, that's my final, and I hope I did good. Thank you very much for your time.